In a chapter 18 called Evasive Action. It's about a radar blip, a detonating missile, and a fire on board. So I first started, the whole scene takes place on the plane, but I kind of wanted to do a different perspective. So I started with the radar and the missile coming towards them. I started with a pale blue, so I could really accent the red. But I decided that I didn't like those colors. The blue was too calm, so I did a bright green it made more sense with the radar. And since this entire scene is pretty intense, I wanted to do two really bold colors. And also red and green are complementary, so I thought that worked well together. I didn't like how the missile looked, so this is my process work for that. And I just used the crescent shape. So this is my final for scene 1, showing the missile coming towards them. And then this is my process work for King Kong. I really wanted to accent his cowboy hat, because that's a really distinguishing feature for him. And I didn't do any facial features, because I wanted to focus on the hat and the headphones to make sure he looks like a pilot. So then the next scene I wanted to work on was the explosion where they get hit with the missile. So this is the beginning of the explosion. I just used a bunch of triangles. This is the beginning work of the plane. And I realized I didn't like the black background because it looked too much like nighttime. So this is the plane, and I thought that the white explosion really accented against the red background. I thought it was still missing something though. So this is my final scene, and I added King Kong in the corner to show that he was the one flying the plane when it was hit. And then the next scene I wanted to do was the fire, and them using the fire extinguishers to put it out. So this is my process work for the fire extinguisher. I started with red to go with the fire, but then I realized since it's putting out the fire, it should be the opposite color, so I ended with green. This is my process work for the fire. I just used a triangle and a circle and repeated it a bunch of times. And then King Kong was the only named character in this scene, so I just made a crew member. And I started with green, but then I changed it to red so it would match King Kong to show that they're on the same team. And this is my final scene for scene 3, which is the crew member putting out the fire. So this is scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3.
Can you go back to your second final scene? The plane looks awesome. I like that a lot. But when you put King Kong in the bottom corner, it just takes away from it. So I'd maybe have the plane still in the middle, and then like Kong's face right in front of the pilot, so you know he's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you had, like, I really liked the plane when you had it the first time because it was really large and you had like the movement of it kind of not flying normally. So if you just put like even like a small red hat like in the pilot's thing, then we'd be able to tell that that was him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just mostly like looking at your character's interaction with the scene. It seems to be difficult. So like you could show him like in the window like screaming, or like because it doesn't really look like there's an explosion. It looks like kind of book or something.
Okay.
And like in the first one, you could have him like looking at the window or something.
I think maybe in the third scene we could have showed that they were actually inside of the plane instead of it just being black in the background.
Where is the fire located in the plane?
Isn't it on like the board where they put in the code?
Okay, is it more than actually, it's going to do what? What is its impact going to be, the impact of the fire?
They can't have connection action back at base.
Right, they lose all connection. So it really would be good if we had a sense of that board there. And I don't, you know, this is, remember, you're allowed to reimagine the scene, and you don't necessarily have to have somebody literally pointing the extinguisher at that fire. But if we had a sense of the kind of the plane's dashboard, so to speak, with what it is that's being damaged with that fire, even if you did it as an inset and, you know, and just represented that the crew member's coming to put the fire out, we need to have a sense here, I think, of what's being lost. Because that's the key part of this chapter, that it's breaking the last connection. And I agree very much with what people said about the plane. It's a great plane. That larger plane, you can put him right in the front of it. We can look right through the whatever it is to see him if we need to, you know. Other questions and comments? I did like your color scheme. I think for something that has the high drama of a fire, this works pretty well. In many of the scenes that we have, you need a recessive color for something, but there's nothing you really need to make recede here, so I think that works well.